Today, what we're going to do, talking about testing, of course, and I will show you different tools. Which tools I will show you? So the agenda for today, I will talking about AssertJ, Rest Assured, our utility, and Warmock. If we do have a little bit more time, I will show you an extra tool, but I won't rush this presentation because I need to explain to you about those tools, okay? During the presentation, I will show you, of course, some boring slides. Showing you, can you see this, can you see that? I will explain, I use the slides to explain to you what we want to achieve, and then I will switch to my IDE, and I will show the code, and I will show how it works. And I will run, and we will see if the test will run, of course, because it's about testing, right? So we need to see like the tests running. Cool? In the end of the explanation of the tools, I will stop for a second, for a minute, or for 2, or for 3, for 4, and I will ask you guys if you have any questions. Because I believe the best way is when I finish a tool, you guys can ask questions instead of in the end, okay? And I like more this approach, actually. So you guys can, but if you guys have any question during the talk, raise your hand, shout out. Deal? Try to not sleep, please, okay? So my name is Elias Nogueira. I'm a Brazilian guy. Currently, I live in the Netherlands. Yay! I'm a Java champion, Oracle Ace for Java as well. And I'm one of the Java magazine's editor in Netherlands. So we do have like physical magazines, like the Incas and Mayas and the old people have still to read, you know. But it's also in the it's also in the digital format. So if you guys would like to take a look, it's in English. We have a mix of articles in Dutch, of course, because it's Netherlands, and English, and the guys speak a perfect English there. It's insane, right? It's really insane. You guys can take a look because like most of the articles are in English, so it's available there all the time. So it's free actually. So it's a community work we do there. Cool. So if you guys want to follow me to learn a little bit about testing, because my entire life I'm talking about testing. So you guys can follow me in any social networks. I have a lot of projects on my GitHub showing different testing tools, techniques, etc. With a lot of examples there. All right, cool. Picture, yeah, cool. So first of all, AssertJ. AssertJ is an assertion library. And before I start talking about it, it has more or less 2.5K stars on GitHub. And I would like to invite you to go to this project later on GitHub and give it a star, hit the star button, because this is important for the people who are contributing or developing these tools. It's a good metric, actually. Of course, they can see how many of you are using, but it's good that you give this appreciation there, okay? It's like a subscribe, more or less, but it's really nice for the guys there. Cool? So, it's an assertion library, but why do we need an assertion library? Probably you guys are using JUnit 5, right? Anyone using TestNG? Cool. Sometimes I use TestNG as well, because it's good as well, right? And those tools, like those unit testing tools, they have assertions. And in JUnit 5, the assertions are a little bit better than comparing to the JUnit 4. But they have a limited amount of assertions. And professionally, when we try to assert something, we need to create some code to assert, just for the test, just to assert that specific piece of code. And it's a kind of a problem because I develop even more code. And the maintainability of it will increase. And AssertJ solved this. They have a lot of different ways and methods to assert common types, like optionals, predicates, strings, collections, which is really nice to assert. Sometimes you have a collection, we need to assert the collection. We need to create some code, right? But with AssertJ, you have a method for that. We can have assertion on primitive types, the temporal types, atomic types, anything you guys can figure out, dates, anything, AssertJ have a method for that. Cool? It has a really good documentation over there. It's not that beautiful, but the information is there. But I would like to talk about specifically about 2 features of AssertJ that will get you to the next level using it. Cool features. We do have something called recursive comparison by field or recursive assertion, We have the soft assertions, and on top of soft assertions, we have the custom assertions. For example, I will show in the IDE, but I just explain a little bit. I have two objects, simulation 1 and simulation 2. And you can see after the variable, we have simulation object and a simulation DTO. And it's pretty common when we do, for example, we develop APIs, right? We have the entity and we have the DTO or the model or anything you guys want to name it. And if you guys, in the last line, if you guys try to do an is equal, it will fail. Because when we do is equal, any tools try to compare the objects by reference. But when we need to do an assertion, we need to try to think about what is the data inside each field. So is equal directly in two objects, it's not good. How we can solve this with AssertJ? There's one thing called recursive comparison, super easy. How does this work? And let me find the code, not this, not this, not this. Now is the time I need to remember where I added the code. And that's, but I'm in the wrong, yeah, checkout. Yay! Cool. So, assertions, simulation assertion, no for now. Test, here. Cool, exactly like we do have there. It was disabled, let's remove the disabled. So what I have here, simulation object, which is in a specific class, right? I'm using Lombok, don't judge me, just for the presentation, okay? And I have a simulation DTR. It also has like more or less the same, but like here I'm doing some API stuff, and I have the separation about the entities and the DTO, okay? And you can see that they have the same data. Two different objects, but same data. Of course, this is super silly, but normally if you test APIs, you get a response body, you compare with something, right? Most of the time, not entirely, but with your payload, with your request versus the response, you need to match it. If we do, let's comment this, assert that simulation 1 is equal to simulation 2, and we try to run it. Yay, no, not replace. And we try to run it, the simulation, assert simulation. Let me run from here. Failed. And this is the AssertJ output. Show differences. No different actually, right? 27, 93 is exactly the same. It's exactly the same, right? Help me. It is the same? It's highlighting like green, but it's the same. But what the hell, it failed? Remember, equals to is true reference. It's not true the fields. How I would solve it in a not a good way, but I believe you guys already did it or are doing this. So I need to assert that simulation 1 dot get name dot is equal to simulation 2 dot get name, right? And after, I don't know, the next one would be amount and amount, get amount. This type of assertions is okay, right? But you have a lot of lines of code, and it's endless. And normally you guys have an object like bigger with more fields than this, right? So that's why we don't like that much writing tests as well, because oh my god, it's more than the code itself. How we can solve this with AssertJ? Super simple. We have this feature, use recursive comparison. So what AssertJ will do, it will understand the fields in both objects, and when there is a match, it's the same name, they will look at the value and compare the value. And you don't have that kind of a problem with the assertion doing by the comparison. So we can see that it runs, right? If I change one piece of that, let's say the email, I will put Elias for the simulation 1, and you can see it failed. And you can see here, we can highlight here, field property email defer actual value Elias, expected value John. Right there. Easy, right? With one line of code. Cool. Who already knew about it? About this feature? No? No one? You, Rosa? Yeah? Cool. If there's a, it's awesome question. So you can do something like she asked it like if the object has additional fields, what it happens? It will fail, but you can have this ignore field of types or ignore fields. And you can ignore that field. You can add the field name here, and it will be ignored for the comparison. Awesome question. By the way, this is called stroopwafel. You guys already know about this? The stroopwafel. I'm not Dutch, so that's why. It's stroopwafel. See? It's for you, because you asked the question. So, should I throw it later? Later? Okay, I'll put here. And if anyone has more questions, maybe you guys get a stroopwafel as well. Ah, she's smart. She's smart. Go ahead, please. No, unfortunately, no. She asked if I rename one field, but it has the same value, right? I know that it's the same field, but with different names. No, it won't compare. It compares exactly the name of the field, unfortunately. Sorry? Can be in different order, yes. Because like what Assert J do in this way, it making the reflection, getting all the fields, and then comparing. Okay, do I have all the fields like this? And then start comparing. Cool. The second thing we have here after this is the soft assertions. Remember, I was doing an assertion with like field by field, right? And what is the problem about that thing? We call it that hard assertion. Why it's a hard assertion? Let's just exercise this. I can like just back. Everyone does this, right? Instead of writing like Control Z, Control Z. So I have this. Let's say name. Name is okay. Let's say name. Yeah, name Elias as well here. When I run it, of course it will fail, right? Because it failed in the name. So I can see name is expected John, but was Elias. But it never reached this point. That's why we call it hard assertions. As soon as I have an assertion, it fails, it stops, it halts the whole execution. Okay? Is it good? It is. Is it bad? Depends. If you have to assert an object with a lot of fields, it's bad. Because maybe the next field has a problem as well. And if the next one, let's say, I fix this, John. But let's say the next one has a problem. Let's try this. I have a problem in both fields, right? It's the amount here, actually. So I'm amount. Yeah, and this is John. So if I run, I have a problem in the name. Cool, I will go there as a good developer. Oh, yeah, I have a problem here. So I will fix this. John, John, cool. Run again. Oh, I have another problem in the other field. Let's fix that. And it's an endless process, right? And it's not that good because you spend a lot of time. How we can solve this? With soft assertions. Soft assertions is a wrapper. JUnit has the same feature nowadays. It's assert all. But this assert J is really old. It's really nice. So you wrap up in a class called soft assertions, and you say assert softly, And inside this function, you say softly, and you can start using the common assert methods. Assert that simulation.getName is equal to John, that thing is equal to that other thing is equal to that. When you do this, what happens? If you have one issue in the first one in John, it will still execute all the other items there inside, all the other assertions. And when it finish inside this inner function, then AssertJ will show you the problems. So it's a way you can see all the problems first, in the first instance, and then you can fix and just run once, instead of running endless times till you fix everything. Cool? Example about this one. This is the this is those are soft assertions, and this is soft one. Let me show the integration one. Let's see if I have. I don't remember that I have one. But let me jump to the custom soft assertions, because I will do the same thing with them. Clear here? Easy, right? I will show in a bit. Recursive soft assertions? No. Unfortunately, no. Yeah, it would be nice, right? Yes. Yeah, it would be really nice. And you can have custom assertions, and this is nice. So you can write down your own assertion instead of having different ways to, okay? For example, you guys might have some business rules about, let's say, installments. I might have it, like, I cannot have 0 installments, right? And maybe I have to reach a level, I don't know, like 10 installments, 20 installments, and more than that, I should show an issue, an error, right? Unit testing this, you need to create these edge cases. It's fine, we do this, but will be the same over again, and will be a different test method. And the assertion will be more or less the same. What will change? The value of it. But what you guys can do, you guys can write a custom assertion with the business rule inside it, and only use like has valid installments. And we show you if it doesn't have any valid installments, an issue will be thrown, or valid amount. How we can do this? This is really nice. Not here, here. So, first of all, what we do in AssertJ, we should create an assertion class. Most of the time, it's a kind of a common pattern. We name it assert after like the class name. And we need to extend this abstract assertion. And for this, we need to add here what is the subject of validation. In my case, is the simulation object, because we need to know the object where you're asserting, okay? There are some formalities, but after the formalities, I have here has valid installments. And what I do here, common if else, if installments it's less than 2 or equal or higher than 48, I will send a fail message. Installments must be equal, greater, blah, 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 okay? So my logic is now in this custom assertion method. Same for the amount. I have the same thing, the minimum, maximum. I do like a silly if else, if condition here, and I can do the same thing, fail if not meeting the criteria. Super nice, right? And how I can use it right now? Here. So I have one object again. Let me remove disabled. And has valid installments. Remember that it was 2 and 48, right? And here installments 1. It will fail because it will get to this validation. But let's see if it's true. It's true. So, and it's showing me the assertion error with exactly that message I added in my custom one. The trick here is you are not using directly the assert that. Assert that. Assert hat will be nice, right? From the common assertions from AssertJ. I'm using the assert that method from my custom assertion, so my simulation assert. And when I do this, simulation assert, I have access to assert that, and then I have access to the both methods that I created. Really nice, right? So it's really nice because you guys can reduce a lot of code, and anyone can understand this, right? It's super simple to understand. And this is the beautiful of testing as well, because most of the time when we try to learn something, we go to the docs. No, never. We never read the docs, right? We go to the tests sometimes and we try to understand what is this doing, with magic behind the scenes it's doing. So you can really understand here. The second part is that you can have the soft assertions for the custom assertions. So it's a one level next. How we can do this? With a small class, we can create a wrapper for these soft assertions using the custom assertion, so we can use assert softly. How we can do this? I created here a class, simulation soft assert, extend these abstract soft assertions. I have this is common, this is your IDE. You guys should use IntelliJ IDE because it does a lot of things for you, right? And you can go to they're both here. They are super nice. And what I wrote here, assert softly. I have a consumer that is the soft assertions. And I'm saying softly because just the variable name for here, the parameter. And then I'm using this soft assertions provider. And IntelliJ will do all the tricks for you. What I'm doing here, actually creating one abstraction to say, okay, in this abstraction, I want to use a custom assertion, but with the softly way, with the assert softly, okay? And then I have it for free. And it's really nice because now you guys can combine two really good approaches in one. Cool? Questions? No? No waffles? Okay, one waffle, yeah. Go ahead. It's if can start can you say again? No. It's only the assertion library. His question was, it generated any report? No, fortunately no. Because like AssertJ is just a library for extend the assertions. All the reports you get will be from JUnit or TestNG, for instance. Okay? Cool. Come get your subwaffle later. It's right here. Okay? Nice. So yeah, I had this, but I'm showing the code like right away. So next two. If you guys have any questions still about AssertJ, no? No more subwaffles. Cool. Rest assured. Who knows about rest assured here? Okay, if you want. Okay, let me ask a different question. How many of you are doing API testing or testing your APIs? Okay, what do you guys use? If it's not rest assured. Makira. Makira. Okay. Spring test as well, maybe? Cool. Rest assured is a library for API testing. And to prove that it's the awesome tool and one of the best in the market, you guys know about Quarkus, right? Quarkus use rest assured. They didn't create a tool from scratch. They're using rest assured actually. And if like Red Hat, they are super smart. They have a really nice framework, which is Quarkus. If they said of, okay, we are having smart people to write a new tool. But they saw, okay, this tool is nice, it's cool, have everything that we need. Just adopt it. Simple like that. All the tests I write when I write Spring Boot applications, I use rest assured instead of Spring Test. Because for me, it's better. It's my opinion. But I will show you rest assured. It's really simple because it's used the BDD syntax, but it's not BDD, it's not Cucumber, it's not like this. It's just the syntax to give you the idea of precondition, action, and assertion. So given, when, then. In this case, it's really simple. Given, I have a parameter, which is name, and the value of this parameter is Elias. This is the precondition, right? I have a parameter with this value. The action, when I post to this endpoint, expected result, then I have the status code 200, it's okay. And the body has an attribute, it's called message, and it is, and I can fill in with the value just to assert. Okay, it has a built-in assertions, but you guys can have assert J using this as well. Really simple, right? And it's really nice to write tests like this. But it has one problem, and let me show you this. So rest assured, and no commit now. And oops. I have here test with rest assured. This is one existing one. For example, I have one endpoint, and I will show you guys the endpoint. I have here restrictions. So API version 1 restrictions, and there is a path parameter CPF, right? And I know the full path. I know there is a path parameter. And I know that if a restriction is found based on this doc, the code is 200. If not, it's 404, and there is a message. There is a response body. Cool? Super simple. I know about the API. I can create a test. So my test is without restrictions. Given I have this path param CPF with this value, when I do directly this hit the endpoint, I will show you later why v1 is not here. This status should be not found. And when I have a restriction, the status should be okay, and I have the message with that specific message, okay? So can you guys see one problem here? Actually, several problems. First one, given part is the same. Second one, when part is the same. Precondition and action are the same. And most likely, if you guys have an API bigger than this, instead of one endpoint, like several endpoints, you guys will have a lot of code duplications. And if you guys need to change one piece of code here, change a parameter, etc., you guys need to do at least a find replace, run, see the problems, try to solve the problems. It's endless as well, right? This is really cool when we are starting a project with a super small API and we are testing it. It's perfect. Anyone can understand this. It's really nice. But this cannot scale when you guys are progressing your API tests. The second way we can do it better, actually I will show the ultimate way here, but I just show you guys like the normal way, a possible way, and the best way. A possible way is that, it's not here, okay, yeah. A possible way, the rest assured has something called request and response specifications. So everything, for example, that is the precondition or the post condition, not the action, I can wrap up in a specific class, and I can have it like more or less, I can just create an abstraction for everything that is common. Let's say more or less like this, and rest assured has specific classes for that. It's nice because I can, like, if I need to change the parameter, I have only one place to change, not all the tasks. It's a win, right? But we still have the problem of the request part. How we can solve this in general? How many of you are using OpenAPI specs? Few ones? Okay, cool. How many of you are using the OpenAPI spec to generate the class, the client, to use the client itself instead of writing the code? Few of you, okay? So what I will show to you guys, and it's really nice, we can use the OpenAPI generator, which is a tool for an OpenAPI that can generate code for you. So you have an OpenAPI spec, and you say, I will show through Maven, but you say in Maven, okay, get this OpenAPI spec, get this YAML file, process it, and generates the client code for me in Java or in TypeScript or any language, and even based on frameworks, generate based on Spring, generated based on Quarkus, and everything. And it also can be generated based on rest assurance to help you to create those tests. And this is the main thing about this part. So what I have here, and I will just show you how it works and how it can be really better for you. So I have my XML file here, my POM. What I have down here, The first thing, I'm using this plugin, Wagon Maven plugin, to download while I'm generating source. So every time that I run the compile Maven lifecycle or on, it will be trigger this. I will download an OpenAPI spec, okay? Which is exactly the same here I'm presenting, with a lot of endpoints, a lot of things. And one thing about the OpenAPI specs and OpenAPI endpoints, I have all the endpoints, right, written here, and we have the schemas. And normally the schemas are the response body, right? Because it needs to say, okay, this response has this like class or this abstraction with these fields. Cool. And then what I do with the OpenAPI tools, the OpenAPI generator, I'm saying the same thing. In the goal generate, the phase is generated source, so compile and on. Get that YAML file that I already downloaded and I added in my OpenAPI specs folder in the project. Create the packages for each thing. Invoker are the internals for the class generator. API package is the whole API interactions based on the spec, and model are that models we saw. Exactly the schemas, okay? And we generate the schemas as classes. And then I'm saying, okay, generator is Java. I won't generate the model test and API test because they are terrible, believe me. And I'm specifying here, the library to generate is rest assured. It could be Spring, it could be Corpus, it could be a lot of supported ones. And I'm saying additionally, serialization library, use Jackson because we need to do this serialization, deserialization, right? And rest assured it does automatically for you. And I'm saying use Jakarta AE true because I'm using the Jakarta AE without that breaking change that you guys know, right? About the packages and everything. So if I don't add like use Jakarta AE, it will break because of the package structure, they change it. If I set this as true, it uses the last one. What will happen now? I will run mvn clean compile. And you guys will see there will be a lot of information here. It was fast, but you have a lot of information writing files. So the plugin is writing all the classes I will use for me, for free. I don't need to do anything. And all those classes will be generated, simulation, no, target, generated resource, open API, and I have a project here with everything. API, let me get the models. So the models, I have like the schemas, simulation, I have here generated as a class to use. I have two different endpoints here, right? The two different research, simulations and restrictions. So two different APIs. What will generate API? Simulation API, restriction API. And the code inside will be generated for rest assured. I know because like request spec builder is from rest assured, etc. So it builds a whole abstraction to use the APIs. And you don't need to write any code. Even the paths are here. So you can see the same paths I have for each endpoint is here. I don't need even to manage all the endpoints. It will be automatically managed for me. What does it brings for you? Let me show you the test itself first. So after I fix this. So your test can be like this. Instead of given when then, you can use the API to query CPF with restriction. I know in this case it will return a response body, which is the message we want schema. Let's just try to see it. So when I do this, right, I know that it will return in schema this message, and the schema, it's message v1. You can see here, right? What I'm doing here, I know that it's returned this message v1. Message v1 is there. It was auto-generated. So it's for free. I don't need to do anything. and then I just need to assert the message. So I'm getting the message, get message contains that value. Simple like that. If I don't have anything, I'm just saying key restricted is Boolean, so it's false, etc. Or for more, for example, this other one, I don't have the other one yet for now. Look at the difference. This is really easy to understand, right? Easier, I believe, than this one. And to achieve this one, I need to add a lot of information that I will change later. If my API change, if my specification change, then I need to change it. But if you're guys using the OpenAPI spec, you guys can generate the code. Every time the API changes, your code will change automatically to adopt that. And you guys have less maintenance. Cool? Questions?
Supposing you have to pass an API key, then how would you do that?
An API key to do, we do this in preconditions. It's an excellent question. And you are also smart, you're having some waffle, right? So I have this base API configuration, and there's some magic here, right? So the base URI, localhost in my case, the base path API version 1. I don't need this with the specification, but I'm just showing like in this case, right? You will have like an abstract class that will be a base test class. And before you can run anything, you set the API keys, you set any global preconditions, you set the login, you set everything you want. And then in the test, you use this base API configuration, or you do like I'm doing here, as I'm using JUnit 5 in this case, I have the OpenAPI, this base test class, and before all the test runs, will be automatically done, run this whole piece of code here. So you can set the API keys here, you can set anything you want as a precondition. You can do the same as a post conditions, and after all, you can like delete the database, like clean the logs, clean this and that, send a message on Slack, I don't know. You guys can just go there and do it. Thank you for the question. Get it later. Cool? More questions? No? On top of Rest Assured, there's a problem, not Rest Assured, sorry, API testing. APIs are synchronous, right? And have you guys ever tried to test something that is through the APIs, but it's asynchronous, sorry. Yes, and it sucks, right? Really sucks. And it's a normal thing. We have a lot of event systems there, over there, and we have this. It can be 1 second or less than that. So it's not synchronous, and the test will fail. How we can solve this? I will show you. Our utility, which is a library created by the same creator of Rest Assured. Because as soon as this guy created Rest Assured library, he figured out, okay, this whole thing is synchronous, but I will have this problem. So he created a separate library for it, so everyone can use in different contexts, not only API. This library is super small and super simple and does the job. It's a DSL to solve any kind of test when we need asynchronous systems, like you have a RabbitMQ, Kafka, Redis, anything that you need to consume it to just check. It's not instantly, right? It's processed, you need some time. You can create conditions to wait based on several different ways. You can check fields, it supports atomic structures to be checked, it integrates with AssertJ, it has a lot of different things. I will show a super easy code. So for example, let's say every time that I do something in my system, in my API, it gets recorded in the audit table. It's audited. It's a common thing, right? In corporates and banking systems, etc. Everything I do, they are watching and they recording it, right? In other social platforms as well. So, in this case, what I need to do, I need to do this action in my API and check if it's there, audited there, just to double check. It's a common test, right? I do just like a permissions test or something like this. I do an action. Let's see if it's there recorded with all the values and I don't know, everything that I should see there. The problem is, if the system is asynchronous, as soon as I do the action, the API, it will take some time to hit that table and put out information there. And my test will fail when I try to see that information. To solve it, what I do with our utility, first, down there, I have a method called event is found. And what I'm doing here specifically, it's a Spring Boot application. I'm using the repository class, and I'm trying to find that resource using that repository, and it will create a thread inside. And every half second, it will be pulling, and we, okay, is this information there already? No, it's instead of failing, it will be pulling again. After half second, is there already? No. Until I set a timeout for it. The timeout is after the wait, like wait at most 10 seconds. And it will wait 10 seconds to see if information is there or not. When it's there, the thread stops and I continue the execution. If 10 seconds has passed and there's nothing, it will fail for sure because it means to fail. So I can create this way of waiting for something, which is cool. And this can be used, I'm using the context of API here, but this can be used in any context, not only API. Anything, any application that you guys have using Java. If you need to wait for something, you can use our utility for this. Cool? With, sorry? Schedulers, yeah, you can. It will be perfect because you can like just create the parameters for the schedulers and like set like different parameters in different ways. Yes, you can. Cool? Yeah. The guy down there and then here, then here.
If you have 100 test cases, so will they run in parallel or they will run sequentially?
If you have the test case, 100 test case with this way. Normally they run sequence in a sequenced way, but you can tell like JUnit 5, for example, to run in parallel. You can set the number of threads, how many tests will be in parallel. So it's the tool itself. It's thread safe, this library. But in order to run in the parallel, it just needs to set it in your unit test library. But it can support the parallel execution. It's thread safe. So if you have like 100 tests in parallel and waiting for something as well, it will wait correctly.
So why don't we use thread.sleep and we can use thread.sleep?
Yeah, thread.sleep, the problem is that you stop your application for like 10 seconds and maybe you have the information in after 1 second. So you lost 9 seconds of the execution time on that. That's the problem with thread.sleep. So in 9 seconds for this kind of test, like unit integration test, you can run 100, 200 tests in this time frame instead of waiting 10 seconds. Because the thread sleep will wait 10 seconds directly, right? It won't pull in to see if like information is there. Actually, this behind the scenes is that there's a thread sleep, but with a pulling mechanism. Like let's say more or less with a for loop, and it's pulling there in every like half second or second, and as soon as it's there, it's continues instead of waiting for 10 seconds.
So JUnit 5 also got similar kind of concept, right? I think it's also timeout.
Yeah, but timeout for the test itself, not for waiting for something specifically. If the test runs more than X seconds, the unit will fail the test because it's not supposed to run more than, I don't know, 3 seconds. It's a little bit different, the feature. But the unit has this feature.
The polling interval.
You can change, you can configure. The default is a half second, but you can configure it as well. Yeah. 2 milliseconds, I know, yeah, it depends on your requirements, yeah. No? Yes?
So I can define a thread pool and keep my threads. If I have hundreds of tests that is running, so some tests might be faster, some might be slower.
Yeah?
Like define a thread pool and have some of them run, some of them be waiting, so that all of them can execute within this span of time, or I have to wait for each and every
If
test to run and wait for like whatever time out I'm giving, we wait for that.
I don't know if you understood, but like you're saying, if like you're executing a lot of tests, waiting for this activity to be run, what is this? Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up.
So if I have 100 tests to run,
100 tests to run. Cool.
so then should I define like a thread pool, then have some threads, execute them, some of them thread is waiting, something like that?
No, we don't need to. This the tool will do this for you. Yeah. Cool. I won't show the code because I need to show this the last two. Okay. But everything that I'm showing you here, I have like the QR code you guys can get. I will tweet this later on LinkedIn as well. You guys will have the full project with everything to run at home. Okay, for free. Who knows about Warmock? Okay, I was expecting everyone, but it's a super nice tool. It's a really nice tool. So Warmock is a mock library for Java and Kotlin, right? No, I don't know. I'm kidding, but probably they have like port for Kotlin, yeah. To mock any API interactions. Normally we know wire mock like this. We have a test, we have an external dependency, right? And a third-party library that we don't have control. And as we don't have control, we are mocking the request and response. So exactly like this. So I don't have, let's say I don't have access to this restriction API, so I'm creating a stub, okay, every time that I hit this URL. So with this query parameter, which is CPF with that value, return that response. And the response will be the error, okay? I'm mocking exactly I'm shaping what I want to have as a result for this endpoint, for this request, okay? And you can shape a lot of different ways to build your tests. This is awesome, but Warmock can be more. It can be more in terms of something called service virtualization. That mock that you guys are writing in your team will be necessary problem to other team, right? If it's a common third-party library. And a lot of teams will request that. And you end up with a lot of code duplications again. So how you can solve? There is an approach called virtual service virtualization that you can create a mock, and you, as a server, you need to have like a server on endpoint, and you have this mock, like alive. And every time you hit that mock with that certain conditions, it will reply to you different things instead of having your own code. What is the benefit of it? You can create this as like a server, as an endpoint. All the teams can use it. And if you need to change for everyone, you change in one central point. How you can create this? Super simple. You can create using Java code, or you can create using JSON files. JSON files, you still think that is easier because anyone, even non-Java developers, can create, like front-end developers, etc. If they need something, they go there, they just add. What is the thing about Warmock? I have two kinds of things: the mapping and the response itself. The mapping, what I'm saying here is, every time that I hit this exactly endpoint with this value, and the method is get, the response will be 200, and the content type is JSON, and this file will contain the response, which is this, which has this message. Simple like that, right? Super simple. In terms of a different endpoints, so if I request to this URL, and the request method is post, and the body, I'm ignoring all the other attributes, but if the body has one attribute CPF with this exact value, say forbidden, and reply with this response. So I reply more or less the same response. What is the beautiful of it? What you can do with this you can create a Docker Compose file based on the wiremock image. I'm just mapping the ports here to use, okay, internally versus external. And you need to do this thing. You need to say to the wiremock through this Docker container, map the volumes, my local file and my local mappings to these mappings and files inside the container for wiremock. This is a normal thing in wiremock, just to entry point. And what I have here, if I run this, now I have, let's do through the browser. So remember we have, we have this get, right? Oh, what is the get? Where is the get? Restrictions, here. Every time I do this get, this will be replied. So if I go to even the browser, let's try it out, of localhost, right? Localhost. 8080, I don't remember there. It's 8080. Yeah, I don't remember. What is the port there? Yeah. Thanks. Look. Magic. Right? And it's a Docker container running. And if you guys have a lot of different teams, you guys can put this in the Kubernetes infrastructure, a persistent environment, let's say, or infrastructure, running this all the time. And instead of creating custom code in several teams, the same code, you guys can just point out to this. And you guys can control everything. Cool? Questions? And between the questions, I will just show here where you guys can get the slides. Questions? I have four subwaffles here, guys. Yeah, go ahead.
Can this be automatically based on open API?
No, currently no. But like what wiremock can do, you can, if you have the third-party library, if you can hit the third-party library, wiremock can record all the interactions and create those files for you. Instead of you creating manually, but I create manually because, yeah, normally I know the API, but wiremock can record, generate the whole thing, you can just put in the container. But it informally cannot generate through the OpenAPI spec, no. Yeah. Any more questions, guys? Any other thing, guys? Thank you so much for being here. I'll be here around. If you guys have more questions, please feel free.